Hi, everyone, and welcome. And today I am so excited because I'm going to be talking about a topic that is really dear to my heart and has been such a huge catalyst in me stepping further in my expansion of really embodying my highest potential to be in the greatest service to all seen and unseen. And um, one of the things that I keep hearing from people, and also on my journey of watching other people's videos and really figuring out this whole thing is, and which is the whole purpose of this video is how do you silence your mind when you're meditating? How do you get this to stop? What do I do to get this to take place? And towards the middle of this conversation, I will definitely share with you a tool or a practice, if you will, that aided me that you can implement to go from intellectually understanding this process to actually putting into practice. And as we know, uh, it, you could have the most profound teacher and the clearest teachings, but if you are not being consistent in implementing it moment to moment, then it does not do you any good, and you're still going to be in square one of being whatever you are experiencing. So, um, and before I get into sharing my perspective on this matter, I always like to share that you take what resonates with you and throw the rest out. As I have no attachments to whether or not you find resonance in this sharing. This is simply for those who are finding resonance in this. And if this aided even just one person, it makes my heart super happy. Okay, so first of all, in that questioning, in that sharing, how do I get my mind to stop? How do I get it to stop chattering? Right then and there, you can feel the warring frequencies within that sharing. Okay. When this, I'm going to go a little bit off topic, but this is all really tied to essentially becoming more of a conscious being and being less reactive, rising out of duality and coming into more of oneness and connectivity. So why I say this is because when you label things as good and evil, right and wrong, you're in the duality. And where we are shifting to, when you're raising your vibrations and expanding your consciousness, this is not the perspective that one perceives things. Yes, you are in awareness that that is a truth for an individual who's still finding resonance and participating in life that way. But when you start to raise your consciousness and get into those higher frequencies, you really start to see that it's not about stopping the mind. It's simply about transmuting and refocusing your energy to something else. So I want to share an analogy and then pose a question. When you are at the movies and it's something that you've been wanting to see, or this is your favorite movie, I want you to notice that your thoughts are not there. And then the question I want you to ask yourselves, are your thoughts gone? Or is it simply that you're so laser like focused into something other than the thoughts that the thoughts are no longer at the forefront? This is the key to having a calm mind. It's not that you get your mind to stop. And certainly, this is from a very limited understanding because perhaps when you're at a certain level of enlightenment, you bypass the thoughts all completely. But right now, from my understanding, um, when I go into the 0 point, when I get into meditations, you can get to a space where the thoughts are no longer, you're no longer paying your consciousness to the thoughts, therefore they're no longer present. And then when you come out of a space, sure, thoughts can occur, but this is going back to the beautiful saying that your life becomes a walking meditation. You're no longer just setting aside the 20, 30 hour or hours for a meditation. Everything is just a beautiful flow of consciousness, interaction, and high vibration. But so what I will say of this is when you're meditating and the thoughts come in, because of how in doctrine society is with going outside of themselves for pleasure, for all the phones and the tablets and the computers and the games and so forth. It's really your frequency, or if you want to use the terminology of the brainwaves you get into when you're meditating and when someone is not in a meditative state, you're just naturally training your mind to be in the high beta. And this high beta really is where all like the thoughts are crazy. This is where all the stress can occur, and all these everything that some people who are still participating in the old paradigm of living um, are experiencing as a natural state of being, which in reality it's not. And so when you're embarking on this journey of wanting to silence your mind, it's really a time, and chances are that if you're watching videos like this, you're feeling the calling that whatever you're doing is no longer serving you. It's time to switch things up. It's time to silence the mind. It's time to go within. And it's really time to look at all areas of your life. Because as I mentioned, if you're in the normal hustle and bustle, if your lifestyles are not conducive to what you're trying to achieve, then trying to silence your mind is going to be more of an uphill battle, or be more of a challenge, if you will, than if one was to be on the journey and fully embracing it, right? Not having one foot in the 3D and one step in the other higher dimensional realms. When you do this, you really start to see the definition of having your journey being filled with much grace and ease. And why I'm saying this is because from the food you're eating, from the music you're listening to, from how much time you're on the screens, to how much time that you're allowing your body to be constantly running. And you can look at going into a meditative state as the time of like when you finally turn off your computer for it to cool down and rest. A lot of times when people who are asking this question is that their computer, the human vessel, is on like 98% of the time, and the only times they're shutting down is when they go to bed. And oftentimes the process of going to bed, they're still on the screens, they're still in this this state that's not natural to our process. So fully stepping into this and creating a lifestyle around what you're trying to do is one key, and making this journey of having a silent mind and meditation filled with much more grace and ease. Now, the tool that I want to share with you all, and that I kind of alluded to in my sharings, is that changing the direction of the focus of your consciousness. And as I said, if you are one of those who are in a lifestyle that's not really conducive for this, it might be seeming like a challenge, but stay consistent with this, and I promise you, you will get better at this. Because when I started out on this journey, I was only able to meditate for about 5 minutes, and including having the correct posture and having the mind not being so prevalent, to now I can meditate for hours on end. So two things come to my heart. One is what's been termed as box breathing. And you basically count the inhales, you count the pauses, you count the exhale, and you count the pause. And this seems a little counterintuitive because you're still in your mind to get out of the mind, as one would perceive in trying to silence the mind. But this is not meant to be a continual practice. This is meant to help you bridge to a point where you're no longer even counting. You're no longer even needing to focus on the pausing and the exhaling. You are just able to go into the 0 point with your intentions and just taking a few deep breaths and dropping into your heart center. And then that's the next thing too. If you're on a different level of your journey and the counting of the mind seems still more in the mind, and you want something less in the mind but something to help you transition out, well then cut out the counting, focus on the breath. And first of all, what I want to bring a highlight is, how are you breathing? Being conscious of what proper breathing is. For me, it's breathing from the belly, and then the lower rib cage, and then the chest, and then exhaling and deflating the back down. And depending on what you're trying to achieve. There's certain breath practices. It will be an instant all deflate or a little, a little deflate. But the point is concentrating on some kind of mechanic that is within you is one way that you can transition to having a silent mind and getting to the point where now you can just go right to the 0 point, which is the stillness that gurus and monks and yogis and so forth, they all talk about this place. And I'll just share with you, even though this is not on the topic of the video, the profound benefits of being able to get into this space is really invaluable, if that is the right way of saying it. Meaning, it's so versatile and it's so profound. You have instant connection with your higher self, with your guides. You're able to really go within for the answers. So you're building your trust in yourself. You are becoming more of a sovereign being. You are there's this level of awareness and neutrality that becomes more present when you're navigating day-to-day lives and you're seeing people who trigger you, and you're able to be in that 0 point and observe, oh, this is without the attachments or the labels of the judgment, like, oh, this is what's taking place. I'm able to be less and at all completely disentangled from the situation, honor them for how they're choosing to navigate it, and move on. And like this, you can just see how this silencing of the mind during meditational practices affects all areas of your life, especially the physical, the nervous system, the emotional body, the mental body, really all areas. So there are many practices for meditation, and I definitely highly recommend that you all implementing some type of time where you are dedicating yourselves to stillness and silence. So with this being said, I hope this was, you guys got a lot out of this. Please leave comments down below if you have any questions, or if you want me to expand on anything further, or topics that you would like to see videos made on. And just because this video is coming out so close to one of my offerings that I'm releasing, I'm just gonna kind of briefly mention that this Wednesday, January 25th at 5 p.m. EST, there I am offering a service that will take place 3 times a week. And it's going to go until basically whoever is participating finds the trust within themselves and is consistently going within themselves that they no longer need to participate in this offering. But this is purposely designed so there's a community and a space, a heart-centered space being held for you to really set aside the time to connect with your higher selves. And part of this is really focusing, being conscious of what breath is, understanding the importance of, having the heart center as your main base when you do anything, but how it plays a role in when you're connecting with your higher selves or when you're navigating life. And just like going to the gym, like there are some of us that we can go to the gym by ourselves and stay motivated, and that's great. And for others, it's really helpful to have a gym partner or to be part of a class that constantly meets up and goes to work out together. And it adds that level of extra energy, momentum, and you staying consistent with your practices. And again, I guess if I want to highlight something before I wrap this up, is that no matter what it is, whether it's my video, it's someone else's videos, just stay consistent with it. And I promise you, you will see results. And stay patient. Consistency is the key, as they say. So I love you all so very much. And until the next now moment, I'm sending you all so much love. Namaste.